All right, this is going to be round 3, the quarterfinals of the Speed Reunion Tournament. Is it going to be open or closed? It looks like it's going to be open. Closed, sorry. This is round 3. Akiyama to this point has defeated Sir Smokes and Reddick 6-4 and 8-2, while I defeated Lolek in open and Wingus in closed. I have first turn. It's a level 6-7 set. First turn should be an advantage with plus wall on pretty clearly. I tend to like 5 starters in closed if that's not clear. But I also tend to play high levels where there is more ability to use walls off them. So for instance, the only starter I have that I currently see I have a wall off is if I put 8, 3, 7, 4, and 5. Now, I actually talked a little to Akiyama about the recent GB. GB number 4 of this tournament this video will be coming out way before I've talked about anything to do with that. But, because GB2 won't even be complete in my videos yet. But he mentioned in that rule set, which was a low level one, he definitely thought the best starter was center, because he thought corner starters were too easily met by just playing next to it and forcing the action, and that the resultant combos favored second turn. I'm trying to paraphrase him, so I might be getting it a little wrong. And I think that's a good case, but what worries me is if I don't play a center starter, I'd like to play a weak corner, and I think he will likely respond in that way, which is the way I'm probably least happy to meet. So I may end up doing a center starter. Seems very plausible. 7, 5, 5, 6, and 5 gives some potential. 6, 2, 5, 7 has the plus wall in 6. I keep 2 side-to-sides in my hand. I'm not sure I want that. I have 2 side-to-sides, 1 up-down, and 2 sort of corners for 9. So my instinct is either drop something in 5 or play something in 1. I don't have something super exciting to play in 1. But I do really want to direct the game that way. I think 6, 2, 5, 7 is a pretty decent card that will play well. So actually my instinct, if I'm going to go in 1, is 7, 5, 5, 6. I am very scared of him attacking it immediately. And it still doesn't get any of the side-to-sides out of my hand. The problem is I just don't see ways I play off them well. Like sure, 3, 8, 3, 8 with the 3 up and down could play well with 8, 3, 7, 4, but is it going to actually? I mean, it does set up things like 2, 7, 4, 7 in 3. Sets up the plus both ways. That's a good spot. But probably isn't setting up anything anywhere else. But that is something. Can I play off that any other ways? I could also go 8, 3, 7, 4, and 7 after, and 7, 5, 5, 6 then plays pretty well. Alright, let's get rid of one of the side-to-sides. I'm not sure I like this move, but I see a little potential to do stuff after it. I wanted to use one of the cards in my hand that wasn't 8, 3, 7, 4. I wanted to go in 1 or 5. This move ended up feeling better than any other, but I don't feel good about it. Obviously, however, anything can happen in closed, and sometimes they play the move where none of your cards fit together at all, and sometimes they play moves that your cards fit perfectly against. But you do have some control of that, right? I do have some kind of do my cards play off it. Like the 2, 7, 4, 7 is never playing off my center card for pluses. The 6, 2, 5, 7 could. The 8, 3, 7, 4 could. The 7, 5, 5, 6 probably won't. So I have not done a great job setting up off my starter to have that luck later, right? Because whether you do get it or not is luck in the short term, but how often you get it in the long term is going to be very much skill. So that's not something super excited to see. 8, 3, 7, 4 definitely has some play here, but I have nothing good in 4. So I would kind of like 4 to be occupied soon. Did I have a setup for 9? I don't think so. I think I saw setups for 3 and 7. That's not ideal. 2, 7, 4, 7, and 9 potentially gives me a little play. This was not where we wanted them to play. But 2, 7, 4, 7 is a card I'm okay getting out of my hand. I have nice moves with different cards, admittedly, in 2 and 8. But I haven't set up the same card to be good in both squares, which can be a huge problem come the end game. On the other hand, I think Akiyama will never actually allow an X. And if we go into a Q or Z, I think there is more hope. If we do go into a Q or Z, if he goes in 2 or 8, after I go in 9, he's very likely to have flipped the card in 5. So I might be able to play around that in some neat ways. Sadly, though, in those cases, he will have blocked the squares I actually do have combos. I think I am going to go in 9. And maybe sometime I'll find a spot to play 7, 5, 5, 6, and 7. Because that way 8, 3, 7, 4 can land in 2 or 8. What's the other thing I'll have set up? I'll have 6, 2, 5, 7 for 8 as well. Which is okay in 2. Maybe this is the way to do it. Really, really not enthused about how this game is going. I think Akiyama tends to get the better of me in closed. Like, not by some huge margin, but a bunch of ties, a couple losses for me, fewer losses for him. And as said, don't really like this start. Not, enthused to go in 4 with 8, 3, 7, 4. Not enthused about much. 5, 6 can be a tricky level to get the cards to work, but sometimes they do really cleanly just because level 5s are very powerful cards and can play well with most things. But I either do not have cards that are complying or am not handling them very well. I suspect the latter. I would predict one of the Q allowing moves here. I think very few closed players have interest in going in 3 or 7. Just very high risk, and that you can land in Doom Train does sometimes, and he plays well. I've seen Delial allow it. There are people that will allow it, and it is very hand dependent. But I think most good closed players will avoid it. So my guess is he will go in 2, 4, 6, or 8. Really would love to see him block 4, because that square is the worst of those squares for me. Would also be happy to see him block 6. And if he does block 2 or 4, at least he flips 5, which I think should be somewhat beneficial to me. If he goes in 2 or 8, I mean. So I feel not great, but it is closed, and I do have first turn. So how bad a spot can it be? I just have failed to construct any significant synergies and have difficulty taking some of the cards on board, and have cards that are kind of overworked doing too many things at once. So a lot of reasons to not be enthused. I don't really even have appealing setups. If I was going to go in 3 or 7, what would be the thing that sets up the most things? I still have 8, 3, 7, 4, and 7, but that's not great because my card that goes in 4 is different than my card that goes on 8. I'm on last turn. That can be a rough situation. If I was to go in 3, I just used my card that was a setup in 3, 2, 7, 4, 7. Maybe I should have held on to that on the off chance I get to do a setup in 3. Which is not that unlikely, because if the play goes in... maybe it's a little unlikely. Alright, so they do indeed go in one of the combo squares. Now, the card that takes that is the same card that goes in 8. That's not great. But I am kind of tempted to do 8, 3, 7, 4, and 7 now. My point is, if they go 8, they are very likely to flip 5. I could then play 6, 2, 5, 7, and 3, flips potentially a bunch of things, and 7, 5, 5, 6 is pretty well set up for either 2 or 4. So if I go in 7 and that forces them to go 8, I might be in a really good situation. If they don't go 8, I might be able to go 8 myself, and that could be promising too. If I go 7 and they go 3, that's probably worst case scenario for me. But I potentially have play there too. My 6, 2, 5, 7's a little overworked. That might be a bad line for me. If they have a 7 or a 5 facing out from 3, suddenly it's good, but if they have an 8 or a 6, it's pretty bad. No, if they have a 6, my 6, 2, 5, 7 plays well. So I'm thinking 8, 3, 7, 4 in 7 because I lucked into this plus wall in 3. Because I think it does sort of put a lot of pressure on them to go 8. And if they go 8, I have a pretty decent scenario. If they don't go 8, I can handle most numbers in 3. Admittedly with different cards, but I'm not sure what else to do here. I don't think I want to go 3. I think I have too few combo squares to do well in the resulting combo fest. There's some argument for 3. If they go 2, I have 8, but they likely have 4, and I'm very unlikely to combo back with the high numbers facing it. I don't really like going 4 because they're going to very likely have the last move that happens in 2 or 8 and control over those combos, and I don't want that. I could go in 8 myself, and that does lock in a card. That is the other obvious move, is 6, 2, 5, 7, and 8. I lock in a card, but I suddenly have no threat in 3. Now, they're maybe likely to block 3 immediately there, but I don't have anything great. If they go 3, I go 7 and should have it likely a tie. Likely at least a tie, depending on what they put in 3. That's probably the safer way to play this. I'm really liking the idea of 7. Am I getting too enthused over a suspicious move? I like it, though. So if I go 8, let's say they have the card for 7. I can take an 8 there. I can take a 7. I can take anything below a 7. If they're going to take me, likely they'll be comboing. But if they don't combo, my spot might be a little tricky. I don't have something I want to stick in 3. Yeah, I like the look of 7. I think 7 is a fun move. And I want to try it. Worst case scenario, they can go in 8 without flipping 5. Which could be trouble. But even then, I think we have some play. Not sure about this. I think 8 was standard and good, but 8 got cards out of my hand that I would like to keep in my hand. And 7 got a card out of my hand that makes the cards in my hand play better in the future. So I'm trying here to improve my cards for future play rather than use them as they are best now. Also, that 8 might be tough for them to take. If they go 3, say I go 8 with 6, 2, 5, 7, I'm going to win if they go 2 and flip 5. I'm going to tie if they go 2 and don't flip 5. If they go 4, I'm going to flip at least one thing back, so they'll need to double capture to win, and they have to have played something in 3 I couldn't combo off. So I think this is pretty hopeful. There are definitely spots where I can lose from here, but I like the pressure. I like that 6, 2, 5, 7 is so strong in so many squares, right? 6, 2, 5, 7 has some play in every square left. 7, 5, 5, 6, not so much. And it is a card there's a decent chance I'm left with. If they go in either 3 of 8 or 8 and I play in the other one, then, I probably use 6, 2, 5, 7. But I like my chances quite a bit now. Again, worst case scenario is they have something like 2-7-4-7 and play it in 8. First turn is just, very strong and closed. Incidentally, I like how they played it. There's a chance they don't have anything in 4 now that they use 7-8-5-2, which was at least one of their cards for 4, but they could still have that. It's interesting they use 7-8-5-2 when that is a great card in both 2 and 4. I was gonna say I wouldn't have played their hand any differently, I don't think. Or I don't have any criticisms. I like meeting with a strong corner on second turn and then playing one of the Q allowing moves with a high out facing that doesn't flip over 5, so you have combo potential on it later. But either he has other cards that have really high value in 2 or 4, or this was sort of the only move he could play in 6 that fit his hand. But sort of strange. Alright, this is probably exactly what we want to see. How exactly do we want to do this? So 7, 5, 5, 6, and 8 is the safe way to do it. Then he ties if he goes 3 with something other than a 6 to the left, but if he goes 2, he needs at least a 7 to the left to tie. So that guarantees a tie. So that's, pretty good. I can also go 7, 5, 5, 6 in 3. If they can go 2 and not flip 5, that move loses. Similarly, if they can go 8 and not flip 5. Now, given how they played, they probably don't have that card. And I win if they have to flip 5, but it seems very risky to me when I can lock in a tie, and it's really not a format I want to lose a game. So I don't think I want to play 7, 5, 5, 6 there. So I think my choice is which card to put in 8. 6, 2, 5, 7 puts me up 6, 4, but if I can't take, or makes it 5, 5, but if I can't take something on the last move, I can lose there. So I'm going to play the definite tie path. But I think there was some argument for 7, 5, 5, 6, and 3, but in a format where a loss eliminates me from the tournament, I think I don't want to take that kind of risk. In a format where, like the GB, I think playing in 3 would have made a lot of sense, because if they don't have a way to not flip 5, then I win, and by a pretty big margin. And so I'd be risking okay, they got unlucky. And that proves no, that doesn't prove. They would have had to flip 5 with that card. Alright. We get the win. Congrats to me. And commiserations to someone who had second turn, and second turn is just really tough and closed. I guess that's it for this video. I am now in the semifinals of the Speed Reunion, so cool.